Hello guys and welcome. Today we're gonna be going through the Hexblade Warlock build step by step. You could alternatively start out as a Paladin, get 5 levels and then continue as a Warlock. However, we start out as a Warlock in this build. There's been a lot of requests about doing a more beginner friendly video where we go through all the choices together instead of just me showing you stuff on a spreadsheet. Please let me know how you like that and if you feel like that's something you would like to see more of. So let's start with the cantrips. Blade Ward is not a great cantrip because it takes your action. It could be useful down the line if you ever decide to, if you have extra actions and you want to cast it on yourself, but there's better ways to get it. So definitely get Eldritch Blast. This is going to be your ranged ability that you're going to be using the most. And I would choose between Minor Illusion, Mage Hand, Friends, and Bone Chill for the other cantrips. So Minor Illusion is good to lure your enemies in positions so that your allies can steal from them or, to fire blast them. Mage Hand is good for moving things around or using levers and proccing traps so that you don't get damaged with your main character. Friends is good if you're a main character and you're gonna be talking to NPCs a lot and you want to have advantage on your checks. And Bone Chill is situational, but one person in your party should have it because it prevents healing on your enemies. So yeah, let's just say that this is your main character and you can go with Friends. So yes, between the Warlock subclasses I prefer the Fiend. It gives you a little bit more survivability. The Great Old One is very good if you plan on criting a lot. Keep that in mind. Yeah, right now the Fiend one, since we're gonna be in the midst of battle, a little bit of temporary HP will help a lot. For spells, I don't like Arms of Hadar. They're not great and they are a strength save. I would probably pick Hex and Armor of Agathis here. You could alternatively pick Hex and Hellish Rebuke. Hex works very well with your Eldritch Blast because it at levels 5 onward it shoots additional beams. And it works very well with Scorching Ray ability that we're going to get later at level 3. So for stats, if this was my main character, I would do it like this. Use anti-ethels here, and then on my first ability score increase I would be at 20 charisma. However, since this is not my main character, I have an additional point which I could use anywhere I want. Note that this is the main build, and then you have 6 additional points to put wherever you want. A good strength is always good because I have trouble with my carry capacity right now. So yeah, that's one reason to have a high strength. So yeah, let's continue. Actually, I'd rather have higher constitution. Yeah, higher constitution, since we're at the point where we don't really need higher dexterity. But if you're just starting out, go with 16 dexterity, 16 charisma, and we're gonna respec later. So don't worry too much about it. And for the skill proficiencies, I would recommend if it's your main character, you need in Deception, Intimidation, Persuasion, and Performance, whichever one you're gonna be using the most, you should probably get a skill in it. If you plan on lying a lot or being persuasive, you should consider this. However, for combat, I would say Acrobatics if you have high dexterity, or Athletics if you have high strength, is very important because it prevents you from being shoved. And while I didn't have this on, the enemies shoved me all the time, and he was basically being pushed around in the battlefield, and it didn't feel very strong, even though he's a strong character. Now let's go with Intimidation. No. Let's go with Arcana, since it's probably gonna be Let's go with History. When we see stuff, he's gonna be able to let us know, since he's a side character. Okay, so this is level 1. Now, level 2. We continue as a Warlock, normally. So at this point in the game, you gain a spell. I would probably consider Burning Hands or Hellish Rebuke if you didn't pick it. Command is also good. For Eldritch Invocations, go Agonizing Blast. This stacks very well with your Eldritch Blast. And Devil's Sight is the most important one because you get to see in darkness. Normally in darkness, both magical and non-magical, 80 feet. This is great. We don't need to change any of our spells. So that's level 2. Level 3. On level 3, I really like Scorching Ray. It works very well with Hex. However, you only have 2 spell slots per day. However, when you cast Hex and do Scorching Ray, when you take a short rest, you can keep concentrating on Hex, and then you can still do two more Scorching Rays. And I would also replace Hellish Rebuke at this point for Cloud of Daggers. It's also a very strong spell, and you can keep shoving people in it. For Pacts, I would go Pact of the Blade, since this is what we're going to be playing with. You could either conjure a magical weapon with this build or bind a magical weapon. So when you would be playing at this point, since your charisma is going to be high, I mean your dexterity is also high, you would have to use this after every time that you short rest. Right now he's not holding a weapon because he keeps getting disarmed. Let's give him a Sword of Justice. It's a good sword. So you see right now he's not proficient with it, but when I use this after every long rest, he becomes proficient with it, and he does a lot more damage with it. Okay, so let's continue on the level up journey. So I know that in the build I have it as a Warlock 3 and continue to Paladin, but first of all, you always want to get your extra attack on level 5. So if that was going to be the build, we would have 5 levels in Paladin right now. However, we're going to be going for 5 levels in Warlock. So 5 levels in Warlock, and then we'll switch to Paladin Warlock multiclass. So at this point, we don't get any special abilities. For cantrips, you could either pick one of the other 3 that I mentioned. Probably Minor Illusion if it was a side character, and Mage Hand, it was my main character. For spells, Hold Person is very, very strong, especially for any melee class. If you can get somebody held and you can bash their face in afterwards, it's very, very, very good. Now for feats, you could go for Great Weapon Master at this point and use Great Swords, since you can, or Sharpshooter, you can anyway use your charisma to bind that weapon to you. Even though our dexterity right now is pretty much the same as our charisma, let's just say that you go for ability score increase. Now we get our extra attack. This is Deepened Pact. Black Pact holders gain an extra attack with their pact weapon. Then for spells, well, you can pick level 3 spells now, so you always pick Fireball. You also learn a new spell. I choose the free cast of Slow. It's a very strong spell. I don't see many things that can compete with it. Just one with Shadows allows you to do it to go invisible once per turn per short rest, but per long rest, but it's not great. Armor of Shadows not great. Mar the Mind is the best one. Maybe Sign of Ill Omen, but the curse is not as useful as Slow, and it's a free spell. So at this point, I would change Cloud of Daggers to another spell. I've witnessed Fear, and it's very strong. I've been on the receiving end, so I think this is a good choice at this point. It essentially makes all the enemies start running away, and they don't take actions. So, yeah, that's way too strong. So now we're level 5, and we've just leveled up to level 6. At this point, you would stop your progression, you would come to Mr. Withers again.
Fate, dost thou require a
Yes,
new
and
answer?
request to change our class. So again, this time we would drop our dexterity lower to 14 and focus on constitution. The rest of your points you can spend as you like. I wouldn't change my skills and go through, but this time we would start out as a paladin. So why do we do that? Because paladins at level 1 get heavy armor proficiency, where if you multi-class into a paladin, you don't get heavy armor proficiency. So since we're level 6, now we're going to be level 1 paladin. Oath of the Ancients is the best one. Oath of Vengeance might have a use to it. Your and allies' weapons deal an additional 2 radiant damage and daze enemies for 1 turn. But I prefer this ability because it's a very strong heal for your party. And please keep in mind that okay, what was I saying? So please keep in mind, if this was a main character, I would do this, use anti-Ethel's hair, take him to 18, and then give him another +2 either on level 4 or level 9 to max his charisma and have great weapon or sharpshooter feats. So acrobatics, animal handling, survival, intimidation, persuasion. Yep. So now he's level 1 paladin. Let's just go with it. Let's just go with that build. Now at level 2, you want to continue as a warlock. So you don't want to go you don't want to continue down the paladin path. You could, but the whole reason we maxed our charisma and dumped our other stats is so that we can actually get the Blade of the Pact. So again, cantrips, not a main character, so let's pick Minor Illusion or Mage Hand. Then we continue as a Fiend, get Hex, level up. So level 3 we're getting Hellish Rebuke and Agonizing Blast and Devil's Sight. Also replace something, no need. Now we get the packed weapon. Upgrading the spell slots, we get, instead of picking Scorch Ray this time, I would rather have invisibility because it's gotten outscaled. It gets outscaled at this point. Why throw 66 when you can do 3d10? It's not much of a difference. Well, 2d10. It is a difference, but it's a spell slot, so I don't like to waste my spell slots for nothing. You could consider changing Hellish Rebuke, but right now it's irrelevant since we get level 3 spells. Later on we have already unlocked those. So other friends, Minor Illusion. I already have Chill Touch. I could consider even Blade Ward at this point. Yeah. And now we could get our ability score improvement or our Great Weapon Master feat. I'm picking this. Then for spells we set Fireball, Mire the Mind. It's just as before. We do the same thing as before. So I might even skip that part. I might even skip this part. Yeah, let's change Cloud of Daggers, since it's no longer useful, into Fear. Or Counterspell. Counterspell is very good. I feel like it's way too strong though. Okay, so now we're level 6. Now we got to level 6, and this is how it should look at level 6. Then you would want to continue down the Paladin route. So we go out for our second level in Paladin, and I would always pick the defense subclass. This is much stronger than anything else. For prepared paladin spells, I would definitely pick Shield of Faith. You don't need Bless if you have a cleric. If you don't have a cleric, pick Bless. Cure Wounds, not necessary. You have your Lay on Hands. And then I would choose the 3 Smites or Divine Favor and the Smites. You're not going to be using your spells for Paladin Smites, apart from one combo that I found. Okay, so now my character is level 7. He can hold any weapon he wants, but I have to make sure that I keep casting this.
Fate.
So then down the line, let's say that you have 5 levels of Warlock. Now we're just gonna do the Paladin levels, right? So let's say you're level 5 now, you're level 7. So let me take 2 Paladin levels real quick. So confirm. Since I cannot go from start to finish, we'll assume that we are also level 5 levels of Warlock up to this. So we took 1 level in Paladin, now we have theoretically taken 5 levels of Warlock, and now we continue as a Paladin. So yeah, at the 2nd level of Paladin, you would get the Divine Health, some spells which you're not going to be using much, but you also get Speak with Animals. That's cool. It's always good to have a character in the party that can speak with animals. And you get to prepare an additional spell. I don't know why it keeps changing. It keeps changing. Chase is pending, we need 1 more. Okay. Now, we've gotten our Paladin level 3, and now we're going to our Paladin level 4. Now we also get another ability score increase. Since we boosted our Charisma to 20 or to 18 last time, now we can get Great Weapon Master. Wait. Yes. Or since we got Great Weapon Master, then if we get Great Weapon Master, now you can get ability score improve. So let's do that. Then again, we're leveling up as a Paladin. We don't really care much about these spells. Our Clerical can already do much better spells. This Branding Smite is a very strong spell, though, as it prevents creatures from going invisible. So if you're fighting something that you know can turn invisible, it's a good way to prevent it from doing so. Lesser Restoration sometimes is good, but you have your Lay on Hands, so learn. So now we got our Aura of Protection, which essentially means that our allies around us are going to be getting saving throw proficiencies up to our Charisma modifier, so +4 to all their saving proficiencies. Spells, Compelled Duel, I'd rather get... sure, let's get Compelled Duel. I don't pick Cure Wounds because our Paladin ability will give a lot of more healing, so our Lay on Hands will do more healing. And then we get this ability at level 7, well, at level 12, combined level 12, level 7 Paladin. You and nearby allies only take half damage from spells. The aura disappears if you fall unconscious. And this is permanent effect. So imagine, you only take half damage from spells, not AoE spells. All spells, Firebolt, targeted spells, everything. This is very strong. This is the build. Yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you find this useful, the playstyle would be that you have a great weapon, that you're proficient with it. Did I just break the game? So right now I'm just a full Paladin, but I am proficient with the weapon. Yo. I think we just discovered something, guys. So you don't need 5 levels of Warlock. You can just go 7 levels. You can just respec every time you have a big fight. That's mad. Permanent. Permanent. Nice. Oh, that's already active. Yes. See, now she's protected by us. Alright. So this is it, guys. Thank you for watching. And I hope I'll see you around.